Hey everybody, in this video I'll be playing Frostgrave's The Ice Storm scenario, which is the second battle for my Frostgrave 2nd edition campaign. Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, the channel that plays tabletop games using toy bricks and blocks and discusses the rules and strategies that build the foundation for those games. I recently released the first battle video for my Frostgrave 2nd edition campaign, and in that video I introduced 2 of the 4 warbands that will be showing up during my campaign. In this video I'm going to be introducing the other 2 warbands, as they'll be squaring off in the Ice Storm scenario from the Frostgrave 2nd edition rulebook. One of the warbands showing up on my board today is my themed warband based on the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I have a whole video dedicated to the soldiers, spells, and playstyle of that warband, and you can find a link to that video, some of our other Frostgrave content, and timestamps for this video in the description box below. Before we get to the battle, I'm going to be introducing my 4th and final wizard, give a brief cranial anatomy lesson, tell you what spells this final wizard has selected, which soldiers they've hired, explain their playstyle and goals, then I'll show you the battlefield, explain the scenario, and start the game. But first, I want to mention something about group activations. In my previous battle video, I had a comment from viewer Iris Gauss about activating soldiers in the wizard phase, and this applies to the apprentice phase as well. And I think that the whole topic is best explained by taking a look at the Frostgrave 1st edition FAQ. This document explains there are 2 different options available when activating a spellcaster. Either a normal activation or a group activation. I think there's some confusion or at least disagreement about this ruling with the 2nd edition rules, especially for people unfamiliar with the 1st edition and this document I'm showing. So I double checked with the author, Joseph McCullough, to make sure this ruling is still in effect for 2nd edition. And he confirmed the game still allows either of these 2 options when activating a spellcaster. This means you can activate up to 3 soldiers with your spellcaster and have them each complete both their actions before the next, or you can group activate all the figures in the phase, requiring them each to use their move action first, then once they've all moved, complete their 2nd action. This is mainly useful if you want to send multiple figures into combat for support bonuses before any of the figures make their attack rolls. So now let's get to the bricks and blocks of Frostgrave 2nd edition's The Ice Storm. The final wizard I'm introducing for my campaign is a Necromancer. I decided I wanted his name to be related some way to bones or the skull. So we have Zygomor, named after the zygomatic bone or cheekbone, and Ethmod, named after the ethmoid bone, which separates the sinuses from the brain. Zygomor and Ethmod are brothers. Their father was a powerful necromancer who taught them his ways before using his powers to become a lich. This caused him to go mad and turn his lands into a place of death and desolation. The brothers now realize the folly of traveling down the dark paths of necromancy and feel that the power to bring things back from the dead and immortality shouldn't be wielded by humans. As such, they've arrived in Frostgrave to gain the strength they need to stop their father's reign of terror. However, they live in conflict with themselves, as the only powers they know, possess, and must use to achieve their goal are the same powers they seek to destroy along with their father. The Necromancer spells they know are Steal Health, Raise Zombie, and the new Animate Skull. For aligned spells, they know Fleet Feet, Imp, and Brew Potion from the Chronomancer, Summoner, and Witch schools. And their neutral spells are Telekinesis and Reveal Secret from the Enchanter and Soothsayer schools. Their main strategy is to use Imp combined with Animate Skull to hinder their opponent's progress across the battlefield. Raised Zombies and characters sped up with Fleet Feet are great for removing treasures, and Telekinesis, though difficult for them to cast, can help there also. Brew Potion and Reveal Secret are good out-of-game spells to improve their treasure finds, and Steal Health is their only direct attack spell, which they hope to use to bring enemies into the wounded state or deal a final blow. For soldiers, they've hired a ranger, a man-at-arms, and an apothecary, and 3 thugs and 2 thieves have joined with just the promise of loot, and they have 25 gold crowns left in their vault. For any imps that the Warband happens to summon, I'll probably use the imps I used in the orb scenario, and I'll use skeleton figures for my raised zombies because I have lots of them, and it fits with the aesthetic I have going for the Warband. Zygomor has a fairly straightforward goal of focusing first on the 2 nearby treasures so he always gains something, then sending the rest of his team after whichever remaining treasure token seems the most practical, whether that's the central treasure token or not. My table is set up and my treasure tokens are placed, so first we'll roll to see which wizard gets to choose their deployment edge first. Zygomor is using the black and red die for this campaign because it kind of matches him, and King Arthur is using the yellow and blue die because that kind of matches him. So we'll see who chooses their deployment edge. Got 16 against 16, we'll roll again. Got 8 against 6. So King Arthur will be choosing his deployment side and setting up. Before I deploy, I'll show you my table setup. The Ice Storm scenario calls for a standard table setup with the 5 treasure tokens. So we have the centralized treasure token there. There's one over there on that raised spot, one on that catwalk, one behind these towers over there, and there's one right down over here. The scenario calls for no monsters to be on the board, and the only thing really significant with the setup is that the centralized treasure token is locked. So I put it in a treasure chest, and to unlock that, figures come into contact with it, and I'll discuss what they have to do when that happens. And just for fun, since I wanted to include these generic dollar store trees that I got in my Christmas stocking, I'm just saying that the centralized treasure token is radiating some magic that is bringing some things to life. One other thing to note, since this scenario is called the Ice Storm, is that at the end of every turn, each player selects a figure on the board, either a soldier or an uncontrolled creature, not a spellcaster, and there's an immediate +2 attack against that figure to kind of represent the Ice Storm picking up and the figure getting hit by an icy blast. One more thing before I deploy, I'm going to cast my out-of-game spells. The Knights of the Round Table here have a few that they can cast: Animal Companion, Familiar, and Raise Zombie. Starting with Animal Companion, King Arthur will cast this on a 10. 17, he got it, and Bedevere on a 10 with a -2. That's a 14, he also got his. That is exciting because that means right off the bat, Sir Bors and Sir Gawain have been eaten by the killer rabbit of Caerbannog, and it and the Black Beast of Argh have shown up for the Warband. Continuing on, we'll have King Arthur cast Familiar on a 10. A 19, he got it, and Bedevere with a -2. That's a 14, so he got that. And finally, they will cast Raise Zombie, or in this case, Black Knight, on a 12. Arthur with a 2, and Bedevere with a -2 to his roll. That's a 1. So they did pretty good with their out-of-game spells, but the Black Knight does not show up to start. For Zygomor and Ethmod, they also have 3 out-of-game spells. They've got Raise Zombie, Brew Potion, and Reveal Secret. So starting with Raise Zombie, Zygomor on a 10. 17, he got it, so they can only have one of those. So we'll move to Brew Potion, Zygomor on a 14. Failure, and Ethmod on a 14 -2. He failed that. And Reveal Secret, we've got Zygomor on a 16. Failure, and Ethmod with a -2 to that, so failure there. All they got was their Raised Zombie. Both Warbands have deployed. We'll start by taking a look at King Arthur's team over here. Arthur himself, the wizard, is right here with his rabbit. It's a snow leopard. We have Sir Lancelot, the Barbarian. Over here we have Sir Bedevere, who is the apprentice, and Sir Robin, the thief, even though he's carrying a sword, and the thug that is the minstrel, Sir Robin's minstrel. Over here we have Tim the Enchanter, the tracker, who is going to be probably running up these stairs to lob some fireballs into the middle somewhere. And over here we have Patsy the thief getting ready to snag a treasure token. And Sir Galahad is right there, and the Black Beast of Argh barely fits onto the table. Over to the other side of the table, Zygomor and his team are set up. We have Zygomor himself right here with his, that's a zombie, his man-at-arms, a thug right there. Over here we have his Ranger and his Apothecary. And over here we have Ethmod the Apprentice. Next to him we have 2 Thieves, and over there we've got 2 Thugs. For their goals, King Arthur's goal is to always try to get to the central treasure token, and for Zygomor, he will always try to do all he can to get the 2 closest treasures and then go after whatever seems easiest after that. We'll get the battle started with initiative. We've got 12 against 11, so King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table are going first. So King Arthur over here will activate with Sir Lancelot the Barbarian and with the Killer Rabbit of Caerbannog, and this is just a standard normal activation, not a group activation, so each one will finish their actions before the next one activates. And we'll start out by having King Arthur cast Possess on the rabbit. He casts this on a 14. 7, failure by 7, so he'll just let that fail. He takes 1 point of damage. Then he will move 6 inches, which will put him right over here, right in front of that pile of rubble. Then Sir Lancelot the Barbarian will do a double move past King Arthur over that pile of rubble. Since that slows him down, he can't go the full 9 inches. He can move 8 inches to right there. And then the Killer Rabbit will do a double move. It's a snow leopard, so it normally has a movement of 8. So on a double move, it can move 12 clear down here. And it'll kind of hang out there in that little corner. Now over to Zygomor. He will activate just with his raised zombie. And he will do a single move right up to here. And from there, he will cast Telekinesis on that treasure. He cast this on a 14, and he got a 16, so that is successful. 6 inches, we'll take this straight this way, bring it right behind him, and then it'll drop right there. The zombie is just barely within range to get to that in a single 4 movement unit move, so he'll run up there and use his second action to pick that up. We'll see if a monster appears. This will be the monster die for this battle. A 17. A monster appears on a 10 or more. We'll see what shows up for the encounter level. A 20, so that is a level 3 encounter. And this will be a 6, which is a Wraith. Let's see which corner it shows up in. Got 1 through 5 and so on. 16, that's going to show up right in their neck of the woods. Well, you can't get much more spooky than a smiling ghost, but this will count as a Wraith, and it pops up right here in contact with their Apothecary, which is really unfortunate for Zygomor's team. These are extremely powerful undead creatures. They only have a fight of +2, but they cause energy drain, so all their attacks deal double damage. They're ethereal, so they can move through terrain. They're immune to normal weapons, and this warband has no magical weapons and no forms of magical attack. The thing deals magical attack, and it is, of course, undead. For the apprentice phase, Sir Bedevere over here will activate with Brave Sir Robin and his Minstrel. We'll start by having Sir Bedevere run through here. A single move puts him right there, and now he will attempt to cast Possess on the White Rabbit. Casting on a 16. He failed by 12. That's 2 points of damage. Then Sir Robin and his Minstrel will both run through here. Double moves will bring him over here. And since he's a thief, he can run further. For Ethmod the Apprentice, he will activate by himself, and he will run right over here on a single move, and then he will cast Imp right down here, kind of in front of the rabbit. He casts on a 12 with a -2. That is failure by 9, so he takes 1 point of damage. For Arthur's soldiers, we'll start by having Tim here run up these stairs on a double move, and he'll end right over here on this ramp. That puts him right there where he can see the middle of the battlefield to potentially shoot enemies. Patsy the thief here, he will run up here on a double move next to this treasure. Getting ready to pick that up on his next turn. Then Sir Galahad here, who's hiding down here, will run up past Patsy to right there, and the legendary Black Beast of Argh will follow. Over here, we'll have these two thugs activate. This one here will run over here to the bottom of the staircase. And this one here will double move up past Ethmod, right underneath this catwalk. He is right down there. And then these two thugs will both double move up here. Next, I'll go over to this ranger over here. He actually now has a clear line of sight down here to Tim. And although this measuring device looks kind of ridiculous, that's just within 24 inches to reach there, so he will take a shot. Tim is supposed to be kind of against these walls over here. It was just a little hard to get him to stick on there, so I'll give him light cover so he gets a +2 to his roll. So it's a +2 shot against +4 defense. The shot is an 11, it misses. Then the ranger will use his other action to move right down here. This thug and this man-at-arms will both double move down here past Zygomor, with the man-at-arms ending there, and the thug right behind him. The Apothecary over here will not activate. She will wait for this wraith to attack at her, I suppose. Yeah, she's just going to sit there and try to just distract the wraith for as long as she can, so the wraith will attack her. The wraith is a +2, she's a +1. Oh no. 19. She's got a staff, so it's -1 damage. She still takes 8 damage, but it's doubled, so 16 damage, and that Apothecary goes down. Then the wraith will use its other action to move 6 inches towards the closest figure, which is my ranger. So at the end of the round, we're going to roll for these ice blasts that affect 2 figures on the board. King Arthur will choose this thief right here to take the icy blast, and Zygomor is going to choose the white rabbit to take the icy blast. So a +2 against Zygomor's thief at a +1. He blocks that. Then a +2 against Arthur's rabbit at a +3. He blocked that. Round 2 initiative. We got 10 against 6, so Arthur's going first again. For Arthur's action, he's hanging out over here, so he is going to do a single move over here by the white rabbit. And an important strategy is to know your enemy, and I wasn't really thinking about it with this warband down here, but these 3 soldiers here are kind of ripe targets for a grenade. Grenade has a 14-inch range and a 1.5-inch blast radius, and to be able to lob it over here where he can see, he can't quite get all 3 of these guys in the target space, so he's going to lob it right about here to get both of those front 2 soldiers. We'll see if he casts it on a 12. He's going to empower that for 1. Against the thief, it's a +3 attack, and Arthur moved, so the thief gets a +1, so he's a total of +2 against +3. He blocks that, and now the thug. Again, Arthur moved, so the thug gets +1 from that, so a total of +3 against +3. 22, so he blocks that, so no damage from that grenade, luckily for Zygomor's team. For Zygomor, he is going to activate with his skeleton zombie and with his thug. And first he's going to have this zombie start heading out of here with this treasure. It can move to right there on a double move, 3 inches. Then this thug is going to be sent over here to try to stop this wraith. So the thug isn't smart enough to know that the wraith doesn't take damage from non-magical weapons, but he'll be there to draw the wraith's attention. For Zygomor, he is going to cast Imp way up here. He can just barely see this parapet through this ravine here. He casts this on a 12. 10, he'll empower that for 2. So he got that, so we'll put this Imp right up here. Then he will run 6 inches over here. to right there, making sure that he's further away from this wraith than his thug is. To the apprentice phase, Sir Bedevere over here will do a single move right to there, and he's going to also launch a grenade. He can get to an angle where he can hit all three of those guys potentially. Casting on a 12 with a -2. That is a 7. He'll go ahead and use 5 of his health, bring him down to 7 to go ahead and cast that. Against the thief, he moved, so +3 against +2. That is a hit. That is 3 damage on the thief. Thug number 1 is a +3 against +3. He defends, and thug number 2, he defends that. So with neither of these two spellcasters really able to capitalize on a really good spot for that grenade, we'll head over to Ethmod, who will run over here. And from there he can see this treasure token, so he will attempt Telekinesis. This is pretty tough for him. He casts on a 14 with a -2. That's an 8. He will empower that for 6. That'll cause this treasure token to come right over here and drop down right next to him. 6 inches. For the soldier phase, we'll start out by having Patsy over here pick up that treasure token. See if a monster appears on a 10+. It does. For the encounter level, we've got a level 1, and it is going to be a 14. 14 is a wild dog, and it will show up on side 3, which is down there. So this wild dog shows up right here, which again is kind of bad news for the Necromancers, as they're planning to try to get that treasure off that side there. Patsy will then run past the Black Beast of Argh to there. Tim the Enchanter will run up here to keep this imp occupied to right there, and then he'll shoot at the imp. He's a +2, and he moved, so the imp is currently a +2. The imp defends. The Beast of Argh will come over this way to right here to prevent that man-at-arms from coming at the thief. Sir Galahad the Pure will now run towards the middle, kind of zigzagging through here. He can get to right there on a double move. And then Sir Lancelot will run over here, and he can get into contact with the central treasure token on a double move. Over to here, the White Rabbit is going to double move way down here and engage this thief to right there. And I realize that's actually just a single move, so it will attack. It's a +3 against +1 for the thief. That is a 22, so that is a dead thief. So he goes down, and then Brave Sir Robin yells charge, so his Minstrel runs up to right there. But instead of actually charging, Sir Robin will just come over here and pick up this treasure token. If a monster shows up, 4, nope. For the Necromancers team, this thief over here will run over here to the far side of this treasure token and pick it up. See if a monster spawns on a 10+. Yes. To see what level it is, 17, that is a level 2 encounter, and we have a 12. 12 is a white gorilla. It shows up on edge 3. Alright, so my fearsome brown gorilla will show up down here, right next to the wild dog. Next, this ranger is going to run right over here to right there and fire an arrow at the white rabbit. He moves, the rabbit's a +4 against +2 shoot, and that misses. And since this thief is closer to those two enemies than any other soldiers, this team needs to defend this thief, so this thug here is going to run over here to try to draw some attention. This thug is going to engage the rabbit and just sit there. This man-at-arms is going to run over here behind this thug. so that should the thug be defeated, he'll be the next closest target to the wraith. Now for the creature phase, starting with the creature with the most health, which would be this white gorilla. He will run over here to engage my thief, and he will attack. He's a +4 against my thief's +1. I got an 11, and it got an 11, so they both... Correction, that is a thug, so it actually gets a 12, and it wins. So it will not deal any damage because it doesn't get past the armor still, but it'll push the gorilla out of combat. So it pushes back, and then this wild dog will run up and engage and attack. Wild dogs are fight +0 against my +2. So we got a critical hit. That's +5 damage. That is a dead thug. You can handle the gorilla, but not the wild dog. Wraiths and imps both have the same health at 6, but we'll just finish the attacks against this team. So the wraith is closest to this thug, so it will attack there. It's a +2 against my +2. Both got 11s, so both win. My guy would take 1 damage, but it's double damage, so he takes 2 points of damage. Up here, this imp will turn and come attack Tim. The imp is a +1, and the tracker is a +1 here in 2nd edition. The imp wins with a 14, so that is just 2 points of damage against the tracker due to light armor and a staff. For the ice blasts at the end of the turn, King Arthur's team will choose this thief that's carrying this treasure, and the other team will choose the white rabbit as the target. Against the Necromancer's thief, this is a +2 against a +1. With that, that is 9 damage on that thief. He is down to 1. And that's bad news, because now he can't double move to get that treasure off the board. And then against this rabbit, it is in combat, but this is a non-shooting attack, so it won't randomize within this melee. It will, in fact, target the rabbit. +2 ice against +3 rabbit. The rabbit defends that. We'll roll for initiative. We've got the Necromancers winning this time. Since Zygomor finally got the initiative, he'll start out by running over here. Right there, and from there he can see the thief that's carrying that treasure, and he's going to cast Fleet Feet on that thief. He cast this on a 12. He got a 9, so he is going to empower that for 3. For King Arthur, he is going to activate with Sir Robin, and Sir Robin is going to do a double move at half rate. 2 right there with his treasure token, and then King Arthur is going to attempt to cast Fast Act on the Minstrel. He casts Fast Act on a 12. 11, he'll empower that for 1. He will then run up here behind this wall. Then he will send this thug up around here, around the apprentice, into combat with the thief on a double move. And then it will be Ethmod's turn. We'll have him activate with this thief and with this ranger. We'll have the ranger come over here first and attack this minstrel with support. The ranger is a +4 and the thug is a +2. That's a 6 to a 7. So the ranger loses, and the thug will stay in combat. This isn't what I wanted to do, but we'll have Ethmod come over here, and he will attack the thug with double support. He's normally a +0, so here he's a +4 against +2. He got a 13 against a 9, so that is, he's got a staff, so that's only 2 damage against that thug, but that's enough to push him out of combat. So that will put him back here. And now this thief, since he's wounded, he can only do 1 move, but he's got Fleet Feet, which gives him 9 total moves, so half that is 4.5. This is 4.5, which is enough to get him off the board with that treasure token. So the first treasure token of the game has been secured. For Sir Bedevere, with their team wanting to make sure they don't leave a potential holy grail on the board, he's going to run over here, right there against that treasure, and he's going to attempt to open that. To open it, they need to make a move roll with a target number 18, so they'll roll a die and add their move number to it. If it's a thief or a treasure hunter, they'd add +4, but that's not the case here. He adds his +6 move for a total of 18, so he opens that up. All right, he finds this. Is it the real Holy Grail? They'll find out at the end. Spoiler alert, it's not. We'll roll to see if a monster appears. 18, it does. For the monster's level, that's a level 1, and we've got an 11. There'll be 4 giant rats, and they show up on side 2. So this far side down here continues to be completely flooded with monsters. For the soldier phase, this zombie here will run off the board with this treasure token. This man-at-arms will run around here to right there, so that if this thug dies, he'll be the next target instead of Zygomor. So now for King Arthur's soldiers, we'll start with having his legendary beast here run right in here where he doesn't really fit, but that's okay. Sir Galahad is going to run down here. He'll have to climb through this rubble, and we'll end his turn right there. Sir Lancelot wanting some battle, some combat. He's also going to run up here. Be stuck in this stuff. Patsy over here can make it close to the edge. Right there on a double move. Then we'll go up here to Tim. He's going to go ahead and attack this imp, try to take him down. It's +1 versus +1. Hey, and Tim got a critical hit. That imp goes down, and that awards him some experience points. Then he is going to hop down from here and run to right there. Their last soldier to activate is the white bunny that's back here, and he will attack that thug. That thug chose not to attack on the Necromancer's turn. The rabbit is a +3 against the thug's +2. Rabbit gets a 1. The thug gets a total of 17, so that is 7 damage on that snow leopard. So it is wounded, and the thug will choose to stay in combat. Then we'll go to the monsters. We'll start with this white gorilla again. The closest target is this minstrel, so it will run up here and attack. It's a +4 against +2 for the minstrel. That is 6 damage. It's strong, so that's an additional 2, so 8 damage on the minstrel, which is just enough to take him out of the game. So the minstrel goes down. The next highest health enemy is over here to this wraith, and it will attack the thug. They're both +2. The thug got a 17, so he wins, and he will stay in combat. Next, we'll have the wild dog activate. It cannot see Ethmod, so it will run after the ranger and attack. It's a +0 against my +2. That is a 17 to 17, so they both hit. So the wild dog has 4 health and 8 armor, so it's defeated, and the ranger ends up taking 6 damage. So now over here to these giant rats. They are pack hunters, which means they all move as a group, and they can all see Ethmod, so they will all move that direction. So 2 of them would come down here and engage Ethmod. The next one, when it comes down, the ranger would snap into combat to block him from getting to Ethmod. And then the last one would also come and engage the ranger. So they were fight +0. 2 of them are attacking Ethmod, so they're +2 because of support, so +2 against +0. And it gets a 20. That's 9 damage because of a staff. That is enough to take down Ethmod. So Ethmod goes down, and even though the other rat there would not have activated yet, or would not have taken its second action, I believe that it would not take a second action because it says they're moved as 1, activated as 1, so I think they count as 1 unit. So they've already done their move, and they're doing their attack, so I don't think it would move, and that's how I'm going to play it. I might be wrong, though. And then there's going to be 2 rats against the ranger. First one at +2 against +2. The ranger takes it out. It only has 1 health, so that one's down. The next one is ranger +2 against +0. And he takes that one out too. So 2 of these rats are dead. I'm going to remove them from the board because they're a little hard to tell if they're knocked over or not. All the monsters have activated, so for the end of the round, we're going to do the Ice Blast, and both teams are going to target these 2. So first we'll do the attack against this thug. So it's a +2 against a +2. The thug defends that. Now we'll do the attack against the rabbit. The rabbit is wounded, so it's a +1 against +2. And it takes no damage. It wins. For the next round, we'll roll initiative. And we've got Zygomor going first. So Zygomor is going to activate with the man-at-arms, and he's going to attempt to cast Animate Skull over here. He casts this on an 8, and he got it. So we'll just use this for the moment. This pops up right over here. And it can start in combat, so it'll be in combat with Sir Galahad there. Then on a single move, he can run off the board, and the man-at-arms will double move off the board. For King Arthur, he is going to attempt one more time to possess the rabbit, casting this on a 14. 14, he got it that time. The rabbit has +2 fight and +1 armor, and -2 will. And knowing that there's a gorilla over here, King Arthur is going to yell to run away, and he will use his second action to run down here to right there. Sir Bedevere is also going to run to right there, and he is going to attempt to cast Mud behind himself. Casting on an 8. Success. So there we have our patch of lovely filth. I don't have any bricks to represent this because it's a 6-inch diameter patch, and there's not a lot of circular bricks that size. So we'll just use some cut up pieces of brown paper bag. For the soldier phase, we will start by having this thug here attack the white rabbit. Since the rabbit's now possessed, they're both +3 here. We've got 4 against 13, so that is 3 damage against that thug. That thug is down to 8, and so now we'll move over here to the ranger. He's in trouble here. He's got these rats, but he can't run because they'll engage him, and there's this white gorilla, so he's just going to fire an arrow at that rat right there. +2 against +0. Failed. And he'll just wait where he is and wait for that gorilla to come engage him. And then down here, this thug, we'll have him go ahead and attack and see what happens. +2 against +2. 14 against a lot, since that's double damage. That thug is dead. No big deal, he's a thug. For King Arthur's soldiers, we'll start with this rabbit attacking the thug. +3 against +3. And it wins with a 13. That's 3 more damage on the thug, and it's going to go ahead and push itself out of combat and run away. Since that patch of mud's there, it's going to run off this way 8 inches. Over here, Sir Galahad will attack that skull. +3 for Sir Galahad against +0. But it won. It deals, I guess, 17 against armor 12 would be 5 damage to Sir Galahad. Even though it's foolish, Sir Lancelot will of course run into combat and attack it with support. He's at a +6 against +0. And that is a critical hit there. So that causes it to do +5 damage. So that's a total of 15 damage against armor 10. And that does take down Sir Lancelot. The Black Beast of Argh will run away. Doesn't want to fight the ethereal skeleton. Ethereal wraith, I suppose. He'll go there. And Tim will also start retreating. He'll run back here. Right there to those stairs. And brave Sir Robin will continue bravely running away. His double move gets him to right there. Next, for the creature phase, this white gorilla over here is going to come up and engage this ranger and attack with a +4 against the ranger's +2. That wins. No damage is dealt, but they'll stay in combat. Next will be this Wraith, which will come over here and engage Sir Galahad and double team him. Right there. And since both the Wraith and the Animated Skull want him dead, they do add support. So the Wraith is now +4 against +3. That's at 10, so the Wraith wins. No damage is dealt, though. Over to the Ranger, these two rats will in unison charge into combat, and so they will both attack with support. They're both double supported, so the first rat is +4 against +2. And that's a 21, so that's a dead rat. So the next rat only has support of the gorilla, so it's a +2 against +2. And he takes down another rat. That Ranger's defeated all 4 of those rats. But he is still in combat with a white gorilla. For the end of the round Ice Blasts, Zygomor's team will target the ape, and King Arthur's team will target the Ranger. Starting with the attack against the Ranger, we've got +2 against +2. And the Ranger wins that, no damage. And then with the attack against the gorilla will be +4 against +2 for the attack. And the attack wins, but no damage, doesn't get past its armor. Roll initiative for the next round. We've got 17-2, so King Arthur is going first. So Arthur over here will activate by himself, make a 6-inch move down to here. And since they're from Camelot, where they each spam a lot, he is going to spam some spells and cast Mud. He casts this on an 8. 10, he got it. So there's their lovely patch of filth, and we'll jump right over to Bedevere's turn, since there's no enemy spellcasters on the board to activate. And he's just going to do a double move. I'll remember this time that his movement rate is reduced by half, and he'll go to right there. And then it goes to their soldier phase, so they're just in full retreat mode, so Sir Robin, of course, will run off the board. Over here to Tim, he will run down these stairs and he will run off the board. Coming around here to Patsy, he will run off the board with that treasure. The Black Beast of Argh will run off the board. Over here, the White Rabbit is just going to run through here, through this rough patch. And right over here in front of King Arthur on a double move there. And then they're going to jump over here to Sir Galahad, and he's just going to go ahead and attack this animated skull. The skull does have support from the Wraith. So the skull is +2 and Galahad is +3. Sir Galahad got a 15. That's enough to destroy that skull. The skulls have 10 armor and 1 health. And from there, we'll jump over to the Necromancer's soldiers. This thug here is wounded, so he can do one action. He's going to run over here to add some support, and then the Ranger is going to attack the white gorilla. This is now a +4 against +4. And the gorilla got a 19. That's +2 damage, which is 10 damage, and that Ranger, after slaying 5 monsters, is slain himself by another monster. It goes down. We'll go to the creature phase. This gorilla will attack the wounded thug. The thug is +0 because he's wounded. I guess that's him. But he's still got a 19 against 14. So it's got an armor of 12. So it takes 7 damage. The thug will push it out of combat. And then we'll go over here to Sir Galahad. The Wraith will attack him. The Wraith is +2 against Galahad's +3. Sir Galahad wins, and he can push himself out of combat. So he will push himself an inch this way. But then the Wraith hasn't moved yet, so it will move back into combat there. For the Icy Blasts at the end of the round, the King Arthur's team will target the Thug. The Thug is +0 against +2. And that is at 12. He takes 2 points of damage. He's at 2. And the Necromancers will actually target their own Thug, because if they have a soldier that falls to one of the icicles, they gain 20 bonus experience points. So +2 for the icicle, +0 for the Thug. That is a 17 to 15, so that is 7 points of damage, and the thug falls, giving them 20 experience points. So the thug gets taken out by an icy blast, and that is all of the members from the Necromancer's Warband. So that means that Sir Galahad will make it off alive without fighting that wraith, and Sir Bedevere will make it off the board with that treasure. The White Rabbit will escape, and the battle is over. Well, this battle saw far more combat than my last battle, but most of that was against uncontrolled creatures. Of all of these soldiers of Zygomor's that fell in combat, this is the only one that died to an opposing figure. The rabbit took him out, but this guy fell to the gorilla, as did my ranger. This guy was killed by a wild dog. These two were killed by the wraith, and Ethmod, the apprentice, was taken down by a giant rat. So we'll start out by doing survival rules. I know that the thieves and thugs can be replaced for free regardless, but we'll just go ahead and roll their survival rules. For the thief, he's fine. Thug number 1 is dead. So that gorilla did take him out. The one killed by a wild dog is badly wounded. The other thug there is dead. Let's hope these soldiers roll better. The apothecary, who didn't get a chance to do anything, is dead. The ranger, who killed 5 creatures, is badly wounded. And Ethmod, oh no. For wizards and apprentices, a 5 or a 6 is badly wounded. So this is not good. 3 badly wounded figures there. An expensive ranger and their apprentice, and then they lost that apothecary that didn't get a chance to do anything. Let's hope they roll better for their treasures. For their base, I was tempted to put them in an inn temporarily so that their ranger can hang out while they temporarily replace his spot in their warband. But I think I'm going to stick with my original plan and just send them to a crypt so they get a +2 to all their casting rules for Raise Zombie and Animate Skull. For experience points, Zygomor had 40 participation points, 5 points for failing to cast Imp and taking damage. He cast Telekinesis twice, and then Imp, Fleet Feet, and Skull once for 50. They defeated the Wild Dog and 4 Rats for 25. The Ranger defeated those. And I forgot that this guy actually died from that Ice Blast, so that actually gave them 20 experience points. They got 2 treasures for 80 for a total of 220 experience points, which isn't bad considering how many of their soldiers died. I increased Zygomor's level to 2, and they're banking 20 experience points. And with those levels, I increased the spellcaster's health by 1, and I lowered the casting number for Brew Potion by 1 because they need to make some potions they can sell to get some more gold crowns. For these 2 treasure tokens they found, let's see what they get. A 17 and a 9. 9 is 20 gold crowns and a magic weapon or armor, and 17 is 60 gold crowns and a grimoire. For their magic weapon or armor, a 5. That is a 2-handed weapon of fight +1. They could sell it for 200 gold crowns, which they might do. For the grimoire they found, this will be across the top. This one will be down. Number 7 and 11. 7 and 11, that is a grimoire of Spell Eater, which is nice because that is a Necromancer spell. For the badly wounded apprentice, you can pay 150 gold crowns to give them some medical treatment so that they're no longer wounded. Of course, there's a 100 gold crown discount if you have an apothecary, and the apothecary just died, so they don't get that. It doesn't say, it says that you can go into debt if you don't have enough money. It doesn't say you have to sell things to go to pay for that. So we'll go ahead and go into some debt here to pay for this. I'd found 80 gold crowns within these treasures that they found, and they had 25 gold crowns left over because they actually only spent 375 of their starting gold crowns. So 105 gold crowns that they'll spend for that healing, and they'll put them in debt for 45 gold crowns. I decided not to sell the magical 2-handed weapon of fight +1 that I found, and instead I gave it to Ethmod so that I've got some magical attack forms on the battlefield, and I'll save that for maybe a Barbarian later. And I'm going to keep the Ranger in the Warband just injured, and then since this Warband is not well known now for doing well in combat, the only figures that decided to join them are a group of orcs, so they've got 3 orc thugs that are joining their warband. So they'll start the next battle short 1 figure. King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table did pretty well in that battle. They only lost 2 figures, Sir Lancelot for charging into combat recklessly, and the Minstrel actually died quite valiantly. His sacrifice slowed down both Ethmod and a treasure carrier, and if he hadn't done that, things probably would have turned out much better for the Necromancers. So let's find out their fate. Sir Lancelot, an 8, he is badly wounded, and the Minstrel, 6, so they're both badly wounded. A lot of bad survival rolls this battle. As I mentioned in the video about the Monty Python and the Holy Grail Warband, they'll be establishing their base in a brewery because Camelot is a silly place. And this is going to give each of their soldiers +1 will, and they gain 20 extra gold crowns after each battle. So they'll have 20 gold crowns to start out here. For their experience points, they get 40 participation points. They had 2 failed possess spells that caused damage, so that's 10. They successfully cast 6 spells, so that gives them 60 experience points. They fought and defeated 2 monsters that were both actually summoned by their opponent, but they're still uncontrolled creatures that didn't start the battle there, so they get 10 total experience there for a total, and they got 3 treasures for 120 for a total of 240 experience points. So they'll pass 2 levels and bank 40 experience points. They'll increase their fight by +1 because they're knights, they need to fight, and they're going to lower the cost, the casting number of Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch down to 11. With their treasures, since they found the centralized treasure token, they can re-roll this if they choose. Let's find out what they found. A 6. 6 is 20 gold crowns and a scroll. They will re-roll that. Instead, it's a 4. 4 is 20 gold crowns and 3 potions, so that could get them some nice stuff. And then there are 2 other treasure tokens. They got a 12 and a 16. 12 is 20 gold crowns and magic item, and 16 is 40 gold crowns and a grimoire. We'll find out what potions they found. We got 4, 12, and 16. That's an elixir of speed, a potion of iron mind, and a potion of fire breath. For their magic item, at 10, that is a ring of teleportation, which is really nice. For the grimoire, this will be a cross and this will be down. So 15 and 9. 15 and 9, that is Mind Lock. That's a Soothsayer spell, so that is a opposed school, so they probably won't ever bother learning that. So they ended up selling their potion of fire breathing for 80 gold crowns and their potion of iron mind for 30. They found a total of 80 gold crowns with their treasure tokens, and they got 20 gold crowns because they're set up in a brewery. So altogether that gave them 210 gold crowns. They used that first to buy carrier pigeons, or in this case, carrier African swallows, and they essentially fired and rehired a new barbarian for Sir Lancelot. They gave their potion of speed to, or I guess elixir of speed to Sir Robin, so he can bravely run away even better. And they gave their ring of teleportation to Tim, not really for any tactical reason, but more for a thematic reason, because Tim does kind of teleport around a bit. So they're ready for their next battle. This battle really showcased the strength of adding random encounters to a battle. It can provide tons of unpredictability and create some fun strategizing on the fly. For this scenario specifically, I thought that the icicles or ice blasts were kind of a neat little event, and I thought it was hilarious that you could actually target your own figures to potentially get some experience points, which worked out well for my Necromancer. For my next battle, I'll be playing the Summoning Bell scenario, and I'll be randomly determining which 2 of my 4 warbands will be squaring off for that battle. If you noticed any rules I got wrong in this video or have any questions about my gameplay, let me know in the comment section below, as I want these videos to be an accurate representation of how to play Frostgrave 2nd Edition. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to click like, add a comment, or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content that I'm releasing. And with that, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.